What's going on, everybody? Jim here from Clockwork Industries. Welcome back to another Clockwork Gaming video for Diablo Immortal. So today I'm going to go through this new monk build that I've been playing with. I found myself needing more dashes. Now, Shield of Zen with the teleport provided a really good long-range dash, and I would usually use that to get into battle. It would proc Gloom, and I would have my buff from that, but I found myself struggling to get out, and basically my goal with the other build was to get in, stun, and then provide as much damage as I could with Chip of the Stone Flesh, and then get out of there. Well, I found myself starved in terms of teleports or dashes to be able to get out of the fight, especially if it's really chaotic in there. And in some of the matches that you're running into with a lot of high res players, that danger zone in there is brutal. You want to get in and out of there as fast as you possibly can. And even though my stuns provide a longer duration for our even higher res players on my team to do some damage, a lot of times it usually left me dead at the end of the fight in some of those matches. Now, it provided some very good stuns when those players that I came in and stunned were able to be killed when that happened. But if I needed to get out of there, I was basically going to die. So there was a lot of just going in and stunning and dying. And that doesn't matter so much on defense. And it's actually helped me win a lot of Battlegrounds on defense because especially as the idol gets closer, I was able to come in, get my shield on, dash through with the flying dragon, push the whole team back, stun them a couple times with Imprisoned Fist, and that would clear a way for my team to come through behind me and kind of push them back off the idol and turn things around. And I for a fact have won matches because of that. And the problem is though, when you're on offense and you're running into that pack and you're dying and you're trying to push and you're dying, if you're ending up feeding like 8 to 10 kills, it's really hurting your team's chances of winning. And I wanted to be able to provide a way to get in there, drop a disruptor, which is going to be Sanctuary with a stun, drop it, and get the hell out as fast as I can so then my whales can be in there. There's something just mental, it's just like a mental barrier about this Sanctuary on the ground that players, like, they run up to it and they just like, it's almost like they don't know what to do when you see it. You just like, oh shit, should I go in? Oh, what should I do? And a half a second delay, 2-second delay can be a game changer in this game, and especially when you have some heavy whales on your team putting out the damage in the meantime. So what I wanted to be able to do was kind of almost go more of like a support class in those type of instances, but also with this build, you have the ability to unload a ton of damage in a very quick period of time. All of these dashes here are going to drop a proc Gloom. So you have 6 opportunities to drop the double Gloom buff. You're going to get the 15% damage and then a 22.5% crit. I'm running actually 6-piece Gloom. So one of my first dashes in will also be an AoE Fear. Or probably proc on these guys. Yeah, we hit him there. I've seen this proc on just world mobs here for about 100 plus thousand. I've seen it proc the Gloom Fear proc. I've seen it hit for about 60,000 in Battlegrounds before. And your regular Mystic Strike can crit for about 40k. But I also like having this flying dragon, not only to be able to pick players up, but come down and slam on them with a stun. And I also have stun invocations as well. So this whole build is about getting in and getting out as fast as possible. Now to do that, I have the stun helm for Inner Sanctuary. This lets me get in there, drop it, and then players melee, you're able to trap barbs and crusaders in there, especially barbs, because crusaders do have an invulnerability shield, but at the same time, that's not up for a long period of time. So if they have that available, they might be able to get out, but otherwise, this will lock them down. And it also is just kind of a mental disruptor. When people see that on the ground, they kind of don't know what to do. And any kind of hesitation, even in a range class, like if a Demon Hunter flips in towards that thing, they kind of, I've gotten every type of player stuck in that Sanctuary. It's a very, very good skill to have, even if you're not in there fighting. See, I kind of had this, I guess it would be a misconception about it, where I felt like if you drop Sanctuary, you need to be able to stand there and fight in it. And that's not the case at all, especially with this build. All I got to do is get it dropped in the middle of the war zone and then get out and then let my higher res players kind of take care of business while it's down there and then kind of time it out again and get in there and drop another one and get back out. And I also am able to have just more time to think about what I'm going to do with my next move. So I'll get in, I'll drop a Sanctuary, Oh, I didn't do it there, but I did not dash out. I kind of wait for another opportunity. And I might get in there again and then dragon slam and stun, and then I can get out with a couple kicks. There's just so much more mobility in this build, having 7 total dashes, and you still have stuns from your sanctuary, and then you still have a stun from flying dragon. So your chip of stone flesh, if you have that gem, is still being effective in this build. Now, so I'm going to continue going through the essences here. So we have the stun helm, we have the cooldown decrease on sanctuary. Now this you could potentially swap out for the dragon dash if you want to. I'm going to try some battlegrounds later today and see how that goes with that actual setup, especially if you do happen to be running like 4-set gloom, 2-set urge, where like you have more duration on your beneficial effects. You might be able to just drop this and run, you know, the dash one if you prefer that one instead. That one is really effective. It hits hard, and it's just a different method of doing the same skill. Now with the dashing in with the Mystic Strike, you don't have Shield of Zen. You're not as invulnerable as you think, but my Shield of Zen was one shot off me anyway. So I'm using the Mystic Strike 30 or 20% evasion shoulders. This won't totally prevent you from being knocked back or interrupted doing your next dropping your sanctuary or doing a flying dragon, but it does improve your odds. And maybe if you have some block chance to go along with it, it really does help. And I noticed that I do get interrupted a lot less than I was before I started using these. Because when I first started using this build, I was just using Imprisoned Fist shoulders with the uppercut stun, and I only had one of them because I'm using the pants for Mystic Strike, which gives me the 3 dashes to the targeted location with the knockback. Now I'm also using this new main hand, which is really nice. Since I'm not using Shield of Zen, that opened up a main hand for me. When this procs, it's like having a super urge buff and the gloom buff at the same time, because you always have gloom. You are always fighting now with gloom because it procs on 7 of your attacks. So every time you pop a skill, you're going in a direction other than sanctuary. You're going in a direction with a dash. You're getting your gloom buff, and then you're punching with your primary attack. Then this procs with 50% attack speed, which is the only thing in the game that lets you go over 30% attack speed. You hit some crits with that, you can land some serious damage in a very short period of time. And then for the offhand, now this is also open for interpretation. You can mess around with some of the other main hands if you can get it to synergize with this build. And then for the offhand, I'm using Inner Sanctuary duration by 30% because it's important that sanctuary is up as long as possible, because it's basically there to be a disruptor for the higher power players on your team to be able to do work in the middle of the war zone where you don't want to be, because you're going to die very fast if you stay there. So it's about getting in, dropping that sanctuary, maybe doing a stun, maybe doing a flying dragon, but the main thing is getting in there, dropping sanctuary, getting out, and then kind of planning your next move, maybe picking somebody off on the sidelines, someone, a necro or a demon hunter is off on the side. Getting in there with the Mystic Strike is very fast. It's a super quick attack. So I found this to be pretty effective, and I noticed my deaths, other than in the crazy matches that are, doomed from the start, my deaths have gone down considerably. And I'm able to be a little bit more patient. You do got to rely on your team a little bit more because it's a little bit more of a support build with this. But it also has the ability to dump out some serious damage. I do have a couple highlights from stream. I think today on stream I had a match. It wasn't like it was in a weird lobby. It was like between the 3K lobbies and the Mega Whale lobbies. So we had a couple 5K res players on each team, like a 5s and 4s, and then a few 3s, and then a few 2s. And then there might have been like a couple people, 1 or 2 people on each team that were about 1,500 or something like that. So it was a span between about 1,500 to 5,000, and I ended up with top kills and MVP in that match as well. But in the Mega Whale matches, what I'm finding myself as, I might have 2 to 3 kills, 1 to 2 deaths, but like 16, 17 to 20 assists, because my sanctuary is doing damage in the middle of everything while I'm hanging out in the back and trying to pick off like low HP players as they come running out of there, trying to get through to the other side. And this lets me actually kind of hang back and protect my range. So like I get in there with this, I drop my sanctuary on the ground, I dash out. My range is going to usually be like right around here, because they're using that as well. Like a wizard might drop a crystal right in the middle of it. So you have this big area that's like a no-go zone, and anybody like from the other team that gets in there is going to get stunned. They're going to get frozen. It really allows to create a good disruptor in the middle of the battleground. And then basically you get that out, you come back, and then your range is hanging out. You get to protect them, and you can jump in again with another Mystic Strike. You can jump in with a flying dragon stun. You can hit them with a kick. So it kind of lets you it splits the battlefield, and it allows you to actually protect your range. Now with the other build, you can protect your range, but you don't have any kind of thing in the middle of the battle that's kind of dividing everything. So players are able to just charge, like barbs can't just charge through this to your range, and this gives you like that little kind of shield and time delay to be able to stop players from coming through and actually effectively protect your range. And then as soon as it's down, you can get back out there, get it up again, and get the hell out really quick. And I don't know, I wanted to switch it up because I felt like I was dying more in some of the higher res matches, and this still allows me to get some kills, lowers my deaths, and gives me a lot more assists. And so I don't know, I found it to be a pretty helpful build. Let me know what you guys think. I got a lot of good feedback on the other build. It helped improve a couple people's playstyles in Battleground, so I'm happy to hear that. That build is really effective in certain situations, and I still will run that time to time. I still have that saved in my armory. I really do wish you could. I wish there was an armory when you got into the Battleground, so you can kind of gauge like, oh, I recognize these guys. All right, maybe I should run this build. It'll be more effective in this situation. That might be something to consider for the future. But yeah, as I can kind of tell, like as I'm ranking up and I'm getting into those types of matches, I'll get into this spec. Then I can switch. If I lose a bunch of matches in a row, more than likely I kind of get knocked out of that tier. It all depends. I think Battlegrounds are really heavily based on win rate percentage, which is a really weird thing to matchmake based off of, because the game kind of naturally tries to force everybody to 50%. So I don't know, it's an odd way to matchmake. I really hope they overhaul the entire matchmaking system. Not because I want to fight, just I don't mind fighting higher res players. I just think that they need to add more factors into the algorithm for matchmaking. We need to see more group composition. We need maybe a different kind of layout on the map, changing the choke points up a little bit, maybe changing spawn locations up a little bit so you can't just get spawn camped. I think if you had 2 graveyards for each zone, so you can't just have a whole team spawn camping on one graveyard, and maybe have it like randomly spawn you at a certain graveyard, so or have you be able to pick which one you want to spawn at. Some way to eliminate that kind of situation from happening, because that's happening often, and a lot of it comes down to group composition more so than even power, because a lot of the matches for the most part will have like a big res player on each side or a couple, and it almost seems like they're trying to balance res totally on each side, but you still end up with some matches where this side has 3 and this side only has 2, and naturally there's way more power on this side. It's going to be a bloodbath. So hopefully they start working on the matchmaking. I don't think a lot of people actually give feedback on the Battlegrounds. A lot of people wrote them off as pay to win, and who cares about them? Just go do your 3, get your daily stuff, and get done. Get out of there. Don't worry about them. It's a stupid part of the game. I don't even care about it. Who cares if they fix it or not? So nobody's even offering up suggestions or trying to get into Blizzard's ear like, hey, I know 7K res players that don't like going to Battlegrounds anymore because of the matchmaking system. So if it's so pay to win and these players are the ones that they're catering to, and those guys aren't even doing them anymore, I think we got a problem with the matchmaking. So, I mean, my favorite kills in the game are when I can kill a higher res player. Like, that is my goal and what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be able to kill players that are more powerful than me. So I don't want just a match of players my level or lower. I think a good range makes for a good Battleground, like maybe implementing some sort of weight class. Use this entire score system to get you into the class with an internal MMR and work from there. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of room for improvement. I am looking forward to this new update coming out where they're going to supposedly have new Battleground modes, potentially a battle royale, some sort of like also, I've heard rumors of it being something like the Fractured Plane, where you start off everybody on an even playing field and you kind of earn your gear and skills along the way. That could be interesting as well. And also add more Battleground modes like 2v2s, 3v3s, 4v4s, Battle Royale. We need a lot more PvP in this game. I think that would really solve a lot of endgame issues, but also make it in some sort of balanced way and work on the matchmaking better. Yes, a lot of people think that it's all about I paid 50 grand just to beat up people that only spent $500. That's not true. that makes for terrible battlegrounds. You can just go run around in the open world and kill mobs in one hit. That's not what the battlegrounds are about. If you don't have a challenge, if you don't have something to overcome, it is not going to be fun. You even if you spent the money, you want to fight the players who also spent that money and beat them. You don't want to just run over people that are easy to kill as one of these guys right here. You could just go open world farm if you want to one shot people like that. That's not the point of the battlegrounds. They're supposed to be fun battles, and we've had tons of them. So I'm not discounting that fact. That's why I play them a lot. It's also fun to live stream them. So a lot of people in the battlegrounds that are queuing up will be hanging out in the live streams in the morning, and that's how I've met a bunch of awesome people through this game, is streaming the battlegrounds every morning. So people will be queuing up for battlegrounds. They'll be hanging out in the live stream. A lot of times we're always getting into matches together. So that's a ton of fun. Now it's just when you get these crazy lopsided mismatch, garbage matches, that it gets a little frustrating, and we're starting to see more and more of those, especially as the pool of players that are queuing up gets smaller and smaller. So hopefully they work on fixing that. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent on that. This is all about the monk build, but hopefully you guys enjoy this build and give it a shot, and let me know what you think in the comments, because I am thoroughly happy with this build, and it's made me it revitalized my I don't know, my interest in the monk and playing this for a longer period of time. I do plan on switching to Blood Knight to make some videos and stuff on that and go over all the new skills and all things Blood Knight. But I was actually considering going to Crusader because I was dying a lot, and I saw how these new Crusader builds, man, Crusaders, get off your horse in the battlegrounds. They got some builds right now that are incredible, and it works well for low res players too, because you can drop a shield on your team that makes them invulnerable for like 5, 6 seconds. If you could buff that with Vithus, man, you have the best buff in the game for Battlegrounds, and it's super OP, and we need more Crusaders getting in Battlegrounds with that. But we're already gone way over. There's no way I was going to have time to play a clip with this one, but this build's got me really excited, and really, I'm anxious to get back into Battlegrounds here in about an hour, too. I think I'm going to try out that other essence, too, the other dragon one. But, yeah, give this build a shot. Let me know what you think. And stay tuned for more. I might be trying out some other ones, and then in a few weeks, whenever the Blood Knight launches, we'll switch over to Blood Knight and check that out. But I'll put a link down in the description for the Twitch stream every morning about 7 a.m. for about 4 to 5 hours, depending on the workload here in the shop. Come hang out. Come log in, do some Battlegrounds with us, and talk about the monk spec or whatever class you are. Come and hang out. There's a bunch of us there every morning, and yeah. If you like the video, like it and subscribe to the channel if you'd like. I'm going to continue to try to make videos for you guys on all the new stuff that comes out in the game and whatever class that I'm playing at the time. But from what I can tell right now, I'm going to go Blood Knight for a little while, unless it's super amazing and I can't see myself changing. But otherwise, after that, I'm probably going to come back to Monk. The only other thing is I might try some other classes. We'll see. A lot of other content creators have done all that, but I haven't yet, so maybe I can offer some sort of new perspective by switching to different classes and trying things out. We'll see what happens, but already way too long. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. I appreciate all your support. Have a good one.